Welcome back to AI Verdict, where we do the research so you don't have to. Today, we are doing a deep dive into Google's Gemini. We're going to cut through all the noise and get straight to what's really going on with Gemini 3, and maybe even get to the bottom of all those Gemini 4 rumors. So, let's just be honest for a second. If you tried Gemini when it first came out, and, well, you weren't that impressed, and you found yourself creeping back over to ChatGPT, you are not alone. I did the exact same thing. The first impression just wasn't there, you know? But, and this is the whole reason we're doing this today, the Gemini that Google started rolling out in late 2025 is a completely different beast. Honestly, after putting it through its paces for the last few months, the leap in what this thing can do is just massive. It's a bigger jump than any single update I've ever seen from its competition. So yeah, it is definitely time for a second look. So what exactly happened at the end of 2025? How did Google pull off this huge comeback? And more importantly, why did it seem to fly under the radar for so many of us? Let's get into it. Okay, so the biggest deal with Gemini 3 is that it was built from the ground up to be multimodal. And what does that actually mean? Well, think of it this way. Older AIs were kind of like having a bunch of different experts in a room. One for text, one for images, one for code. And they all needed a translator to talk to each other. Gemini 3 is like one single genius who's fluent in all of it, all at once. It's not just looking at text, then images, then audio. It's understanding the relationship between all of them in a single thought. And Google didn't just ease into this. It was a total blitz. The rollout was so fast that it was almost hard to keep up. It kicked off with the Pro preview in November, and then, bam, before you knew it, Flash was out, a totally new model called DeepThink was launched, and then just a couple of months later, DeepThink got a major upgrade. It was a whirlwind. Okay, so it's easy to make big claims, but does the data actually back it up? Let's dive into the hard numbers, because this is where the story gets really, really interesting. So for anyone who geeks out on this stuff, the LM Arena is basically the Thunderdome for AI models. It's where they all go head-to-head in blind tests, and the winner is decided by which one real people just prefer using. Hitting an ELO score of 1501 here isn't just a number, it's a statement. It means that right now, when people don't know which AI they're using, they consistently pick Gemini. Now, this next number, 37.5%, might not sound that high at first, but you have to understand the context. This is the score on a test called Humanity's Last Exam. It's an absolutely brutal test designed with problems that require incredibly deep, abstract thinking. Most AI models just crash and burn on it. We're talking scores in the single digits. So a score like this, it's a massive outlier. It signals a whole new level of reasoning ability. And to round out this trifecta of performance, it nailed a 91.9% on the GPQA Diamond benchmark. The best way to think about this test is like the final exam for a PhD in any hard science. This score means it can genuinely hang with experts and tackle complex, graduate-level scientific questions with an incredible degree of accuracy. And if you want a perfect visual of what this power looks like, check out this chart for competitive programming. On the Codeforces benchmark, which is notoriously difficult, a score of 2,500 is already considered world-class. Well, Gemini 3 DeepThink didn't just win. It absolutely dominated with a score of 3455. That's not a lead. That's a whole different league. The crazy stats just keep coming. This table shows a few more highlights. You've got a gold medal result at a major international math Olympiad, a really high score on a test specifically designed to stop AI from making stuff up or hallucinating. And then there's the context window. 1 million tokens. To put that into perspective, you could basically feed it the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy and then have a detailed conversation about it. So Gemini 3 isn't just one thing. Google actually rolls out a whole suite of models, and understanding the difference between them is really the key to using it effectively. Let's break down the 3 flavors of Gemini. Okay, so you've got 3 options: Pro, which is the main workhorse, Flash, the speed demon, and DeepThink, which is kind of like the specialist scientist. Let's quickly go through each one. First up is Gemini 3 Pro. This is the flagship model, the main event. This is the one you turn to when you really need to do some heavy lifting, deep research, writing a complex report, or digging into some tricky code. It's the powerful, do-it-all model. Next up, you've got Flash. And really, the name says it all. This is the model that powers the main Gemini app, and it is built for pure speed. But here's the amazing part. You're not really sacrificing intelligence for that speed. You still get that same PhD-level reasoning, just delivered almost instantly for all your quick, day-to-day questions. And finally, we have DeepThink. This is where things get kind of futuristic. It's what they call a think aloud model. So instead of just giving you an answer, it actually shows you its work. It will literally try different approaches to a problem, test its own ideas, and course correct along the way, just like a scientist figuring out a complex problem. This is the secret weapon behind those insane math and coding scores. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. What is the deal with Gemini 4? The internet is going crazy with rumors, but what's actually true? It's time to separate fact from speculation. So let me be super clear here. As of right now, Gemini 4 does not officially exist. What we do know for a fact is that Google is still adding new powers to Gemini 3. That tells us their focus is on making this current generation as good as it can be. Now, are analysts predicting some wild stuff for the future? Of course. They're talking about autonomous agents that can book trips for you, real-time video analysis, all sorts of cool things. But it's really important to remember that that's just speculation for now, not an official roadmap. Okay, let's zoom out for a second, because the real story here is actually way bigger than just which chatbot is the smartest. We are talking about a fundamental change to how we interact with technology itself. See, Google isn't just building another app you can choose to download. They are weaving Gemini into the very fabric of their entire world. It's set to replace the old Google Assistant, becoming the default AI layer on Android and across all their services. For billions of people, using a super powerful AI won't be an active choice anymore. It will just be the way things work. And when you integrate AI that deeply, it creates some huge ripple effects. For us, the users, it means AI could become this seamless, incredibly helpful part of our daily lives. But it also puts intense pressure on competitors. It starts attracting a lot of attention from regulators. And it brings up really important questions about our privacy and what happens to all our data. So, after all the tests and all the numbers, what's the big takeaway? It's pretty simple. Gemini 3 isn't some future promise. It is here, right now. And whether you're using the lightning speed of Flash or the deep thinking of, well, DeepThink, you are using an AI that is performing at the absolute top of its class. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. As this incredible technology becomes the default, the path of least resistance, baked into everything we do, what amazing new abilities do we gain? And, just as important, what might we be giving up in return? If you found this useful, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.